All right, I'm speed running this, remaking it. FileZilla, not going over the installation, port forwarding only. Going to the admin interface, server, configure. Leave your default ports at 21. Your bind interfaces are catch-all 0000. The default protocol is use encryption. I'm going to put use encryption or insecure. That's up to you. Go to protocol settings, FTP, passive mode. This is important. 50,000 to 51,000. Click retrieve public IP address. I'm not going to click it because I don't want to reveal what my public IP address. When you click it, it looks something like that. This right here, I got this wrong in my last video. Keep this checked. Use local IP for local connections. Good idea. Click apply. Click OK. Minimize. Gonna go to the router to do the port forwarding. Going to the router, I went and logged in. Advanced, NAT forwarding, port forwarding. Go to the port forwarding section of your router. Click on add. When you click on add, you're going to enter the service name. This is just a label. You're going to add the local IP address of your server. For example, my server would be this IP. Yours will be different. It's your local IP of the server running FileZilla. The first port is the listen port, just 21. Outside and inside. That's another thing I got incorrect in my last video. For most intended use cases, keep both the inside and the outside port 21. Okay, you can see both my port forwards here. For the single listen port, going to my .200 server 2121. For the passive, forwarding the range 50,000 to 51,000. Now, you'll need to add the firewall exception to your server. So Windows Firewall, you're going to go into it. And after you're at your firewall, you're going to go to inbound rules. You're going to click add new rule. You're going to do program. You're going to click next. You're going to click browse to where the program is. You're going to go to program files, FileZilla server. That's the default installation directory for FileZilla server. Then you're going to click the FileZilla-server exe. You're going to click open. You're going to click next. Allow the connection. Next. Apply it to the domain, the domain, private and public firewalls. Click next. Name it. Blah, blah, blah. I already have it created. It's right there, FileZilla. Cool. After you do that, you'll need to create a user. Now, this isn't for port forwarding. If you got what you need out of the video, you can dip. So go to server, configure, go to users, add one. I'm just going to add a dummy example user and user, make its password 123. I'm going to put in a my local file path is the native path. The virtual path is the URL path. There you go. So I'm just going to go ahead and click apply there. So now I have a user. If I minimize that, minimize this, if you want to connect to it now, I'm using Windows File Explorer to get to this. It doesn't support encryption. That's why I left that unchecked. 10.10.0.201 is my local. And if I click enter, I'm going to type in my username that I created, my password. I'm going to click log on. And then it shows me some of these example files and folders I created here. You know, if I wanted to drag a file over to my downloads folder, boom, there you go. It just copied it over. Now, I want to take the end part of this video to explain a few theory pieces that I think are good to know. So, why use FTP versus secure FTP? Well, secure FTP is a great idea because it encrypts not only the data being transferred, but your username and password. So if you were at a coffee shop and you were logging into your home FTP server without encryption, somebody else at the coffee shop could sniff your username and password, and then they could log in and get your files, right? So really the only time to ever use a non-secure FTP server is an unauthenticated, anonymous login FTP server serving up unsecure files that don't need to be encrypted. What is an example of this? The Canonical organization that makes Ubuntu hosts an FTP server where you don't have to log into it. It's totally non-secure. You just go to it, click on the ISO to download it. The ISO doesn't need to be encrypted either. It's all open source software, right? Now, if you're watching this video, you're probably a home user. You're probably wanting to connect to your files outside from the internet, like at a coffee shop or at your work. In that case, I would absolutely, very highly recommend FTP-ES. Now, there's an older version of FTP that used security. It listed on port 990. I wouldn't recommend using that if you even know why you might need to use it for legacy applications. You're probably not watching this video. So if you want to see what that is, I go to server configure and under the protocol there. Modern security is the first option. Modern security or insecure is the middle. And then the deprecated old way of doing security is the third option. Again, pretty much you'd never want to click that. Almost always you would want to keep it on the first option for encryption. Just for, again, my tutorial purposes, I left it insecure as well. Now, SFTP is also an option. You know, if you're a home user and you don't have existing infrastructure or anything to worry about, you know, SFTP and FTP-ES, although in a very technical, functional sense, use different technologies, in a high-level end-user experience, they're almost identical. And actually, SFTP is a little easier to set up. You don't need to forward a passive port range. Everything over FTP runs over SSH over a single port 22, the default port at least. SCP is an old legacy. It is also secure, but it's an old legacy way to transfer files over SSH. It's completely being deprecated. Actually, OpenSSH version 9, released in, I believe, 2022, doesn't even have SCP in its protocol stack anymore. They took it out. So there's all that. Also, you know, you can transfer files over HTTP or HTTPS for secure. That's a little bit more involved for a home user to do that. So that's not what I'm covering. A few more theory things before I cap off the video. So I really quickly went over user creation with the / and the backslashes and everything. So this is a little confusing, but the person that created the HTTP protocol and modern URLs are basically the modern internet as an end user knows it. You know, you go to a web browser, is Tim Berners-Lee. And Tim Berners-Lee had a Next Computer. And a Next Computer was a company founded by Steve Jobs. So look at that. When they kicked him out of Apple, he went and founded Next Computer. Fun fact, he also founded Pixar. So Next Computers used a Unix-based operating system. Unix-based operating systems uses a /. That's why URLs use /. Now Windows uses a \. That's the little nuance there, if we again go to users, of why the virtual path, the root path is a / and the native path uses the Windows path with backslashes. So it's a little goofiness there. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. Thank you for watching.